We're back.
Brothers in Laws presents Let's Drop Jewels, Season 2. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I am your host, LeVar Huggins, with co-host Victor Robinson Jr. Welcome to Let's Drop Jewels, and we are Brothers in Law. Welcome to the podcast that's intended to educate, motivate, and inspire the world. For more information on Brothers in Laws, you can follow us on Facebook at Brothers Law and on Instagram at Bros in Laws. And if you would like to contact us, you can email us at brosinlaws@gmail.com. And now it is time to open your ears and receive these jewels we about to drop on y'all. What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Let's Drop Jewels. I am your host, LeVar Huggins, with co-host Victor Robinson
Hey, what's
Jr.
going on, everybody?
On today's episode, we are going to discuss small business. Whether you have a business already or whether you're thinking about owning a business in the future, today we just want to share a couple of tips with you to help you along your journey. Also, we want to talk about why it is important to move in that direction, giving back in generational wealth. First of all, when it comes down to starting a business, you want to identify the business opportunity and choose what kind of business it is that you want to do.
Right.
Also, make sure you do your research, because doing your research is important so you won't make too many mistakes along the way. Start off with a little business plan and make sure you have enough funds to cover the cost until your business becomes profitable. That is very important, because if you don't do that, you can fall very quickly before you can even get started. Okay, tip number 5, focus on something that you have a passion for. Understand your target customers and existing markets. That's another thing that's important. Find out, what's the trend, what's selling, what's gonna make your business profitable. Tip number 7, bring on the right team to support your weaknesses. Understand that no one can run a business by themselves. Everybody has to play their role. Everybody got a part to play to make sure that your business runs as smoothly as possible. Get familiar with the legals and the tax guidelines. That's very important too, because you don't want to mess up your first year when it comes down to that, because you're going to have trouble later on.
Right.
All right. Tip number 9, create a marketing plan. Tip 10, never be scared to ask for help. There's plenty of help out here, and the only way you're going to receive the help is to ask for it.
Right.
What you got on that, Vic?
Hey, again, welcome everybody, every listeners that are out there. Appreciate you guys joining us as always. Brothers-in-law, we come to drop information, knowledge, and try to train you as best we can with the information that we have in our experiences. So small businesses is a topic we're on today. When we talk about small businesses, you heard the tips from LeVar. He shot them out there to get your wheels spinning a little bit. Think about some of the things that he just mentioned. Small businesses are on the rise right now. We know that small businesses is what help cities thrive. Big businesses come in, big businesses are able to spend a little more, big businesses are able to occupy more space. But here we want to try to dive into, how do we get into that position of owning a small business? From my experience, as a business major, one who has assisted my father and my sister in developing their business plans and business model for a profitable food truck. Food trucks on the rise right now. I think everybody wants a food truck, right?
Of course.
Can't pass up good food, but some of the strategies that went into building that business plan was all the tips that, LeVar was just laying out there. Why do you want to do it? What's the reason behind it? I think that starts it all off. That has to be important, because when times get hard, you have to fall back on the why.
Indeed.
Not really concerned about the how. It's really the why that is pushing you. So the why is what drives you. It's what motivates you. It is what keeps you focused when times get hard and things become opportunities to learn. I'm not going to call them challenges. We're going to call them opportunities to learn, because you're going to go through a lot of them. And what we really want to do here today on this episode is really build you up, motivate you, and inspire you to get out and take that leap. Start their small businesses. Start those small businesses. Before you do anything, ask yourself the why. Why do you want to start it? Right. Once you understand that question as to why, then you want to start looking at what kind of businesses you want to start. Hey, oftentimes you be around people that are doing something. You say, you know what? I want to do that. Right. Yes. I want to start a food truck. All right. I hope you guys can see the pictures and everything. This is one of our profitable businesses that we've jumped into, and it's expanding. We'll just use that as an example. Hey, we want to start a food truck. Do you have the passion to cook? Right.
Right. That's the question.
That's the question. Do you have the passion to serve people? Customer service is another attribute that business owners, business planners have to understand. Now, we're talking small business. We're not talking big corporations and things like that. There are a little bit more that goes into that. But we just want to get you started with thinking as a small business entrepreneur. Right. And there's so many resources out there that you can get your hands on to kind of help guide you. I think one of the things that I ventured off into was like just basic legal zone. Right. I wanted to see how the paperwork is written up, how documents are done. And there was some more that was given to me as I went through my my business bachelor's and master's. But one of the things that we want to continue to look at is, one of the scares of starting a small business is the finances. Right. And I think a lot of people get into a position of fear when, we look around and say, okay, hey, I need a little money to start this thing. Right. Well, just starting and getting the information costs you nothing.
Exactly.
Just research costs you, for the most part, costs nothing. You can get on some of the government census websites, look at the demographics, the statistics of selling in certain areas, how many businesses are there. Just kind of getting an idea of what your competition look like once you've decided what type of business you want to start, because obviously there's different types. And then you want to start actually looking at, okay, maybe you talked about it, locations. I think that was one of them, right?
Locations, of course.
Yeah, you want to talk about location. That's important. Once you've done your research, you've probably figured out by that time where you want to kind of do this at. Right. You kind of want to see, your 5-year plan, kind of today, tomorrow, and 5 years after that. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be looking at? How do you want to scale your business? Things like that, without getting into a lot of the technical terms. But at this point, I think you're motivated
right,
to get out and start a small business. There's been so much assistance given to small businesses, especially through this pandemic.
Right.
The government has extended their hand for small business loans and things like that to support small businesses. So as we continue to go through those steps, step 3, you talked about step 3. Go ahead and repeat step 3 for us, right? Because we want to dig into that a little bit.
And also, but while I get back to that, make sure you have a passion for it. If you don't have a passion for these things, you can easily slide. And I say you can easily slide because, you might lose interest in it. Right. And losing interest in what it is that you're trying to do would actually slow your business down. You have to look at it like you're going on a job working for somebody else, clocking into a 9 to 5. You have to put as much work into your own business as you would do for somebody else. Now, getting back to step 3, tip 3, start with a simple business plan and make sure you have enough funds to cover your costs until the business becomes profitable.
Right. That's huge right there. So in the line of business, there's something out there called the executive summary. Right. Again, we're not going to get too crazy into it, but hey, we want to give you as much as we can. Right. And this is really the sketch or the write-up of the business plan. This is the high-level summary of your entire plan. We talked about the 5-year plan, the company's description, what your company is going to be. You even got the name down as you threw that up in the air 20 different times to figure out what's the best name. Right. I think when the name is developed, from my experience, when the name is developed is when it really hits you.
Right.
And you say, okay, this is a part of me.
This is it.
Right. This is it. And so that company description, because through that process, you're gonna start looking at how the business will solve problems because you're writing it all down.
Right. And understand you will never know everything from the jump. It's a learn as you go type of thing. You might make mistakes a couple, along the way. You know what I'm saying? You might change things along the way, but that's business.
Look, one thing I've learned about anything that I have accomplished or wanted to accomplish was I had to become okay with failure.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's the biggest anxiety that we deal with. And listeners, I want to encourage you today to not be paralyzed by failure, not to be paralyzed by fear, regardless of the unknown. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow holds. The Bible tells us we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we just got to walk in faith and know that we're not going to allow our fear
to stop you
of failure, to shake our faith. So we have to be committed to the company description, the company name, what we're offering, the business description, and this allows you to talk about what you offer. What the business offer. And by that time, when you talked about the finances, you've kind of built your product around that cost. How much it's going to cost me? What am I going to spend for this product? And then how great of a product do I have? Because, there was a book I was reading by Earl Nightingale, and, he talked about business and how most people are doing what the guy next door is doing. If I see you building houses and you're making profit, guess what the guy next door does? He goes and starts building houses. But there's one thing that separates the guy who was already doing it and the guy that's now doing it, because he sees that the other guy is making profit. And that is the passion.
Yes.
What comes with the name, what it stands for, and what the goals are. And we're going to get into that a little later when we talk about the passion resulting in generational wealth.
And you know what? I also suggest that you work on starting your own business while you're still employed.
That's a good point.
Just in case, you need that backup money, just in case your business doesn't run as smoothly as you think it should. Start while you're still working for someone else, while you're still employed, because that can help out a lot.
Right. And what happens when we're doing that? Because it can be challenging to try to start a business, continue to work full time, be a mother, be a father, be active with your children and all these things. But what you're also building, you're building discipline.
Yes.
Like you're researching more, you're committing yourself to getting your business started. And that's going to be integral as you start to go along with other strategies of your business. So even while you're working and employed, and that's a great point, LeVar, is that you continue to commit yourself to it. And if you're going to commit yourself to doing your business while you're employed and you're going to spend all these hours, researching and getting things together, then I think you're on the right path to being a great entrepreneur.
Yeah. So why is it important to move in that direction? Because, when we talk about generational wealth, we talk about giving back, we talk about all these things. It's important to move in that direction, because I know, you prefer to wake up when you want to wake up. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to clock in when somebody tell you to clock in. You don't have to clock out to go home. You're on your own time. You know what I'm saying? So it is great to move in the direction of owning a small business, because, a lot of us get up and go to these jobs every day, and, we catch it.
Right. And that can be locked into your long-term goals in state. What is your end state as you commit to this new business, you pour into it and your passion for it, you have a desire to see it be successful. You have to also look at, who else do you want it to impact? And we talked about being a mother, being a father, and having kids and things like that. So generational wealth has been a conversation that has been out there for a I'm not gonna say a long time, but it's kind of been a hot topic for a while now. And people are really starting to understand, especially through these these challenging days and challenging times as our economy begins to shift and change.
Right.
We're looking at, hey, how are we going to support our families? And we don't want to be lost or in such a vulnerable state to where we can't provide. So I think this is a great opportunity. That's one of the benefits of developing a great business plan, a great business description, a product, one that you're passionate for, and then also one that you are willing to stand behind.
Yes. So before we get into generational wealth, let's talk about giving back to your community. Once you get started and everything is on the up and up, never forget about the people that brought you to where you're at. Always give back to the community. Let them know that they're appreciative. Let them know how much you thank them. Because it's the people that's gonna make your business successful.
Right. And all of those are attributes that a business entrepreneur, I feel you have to have, because you're dealing with different people, you're dealing with a different customer base. If you develop your business plan to a T, then you've also thrown in that business plan or that executive summary, the market strategy.
Yes.
How are you going to get after your demographic, your customer? And if you're in a place where one of the goals is to give back to the community, then it's important that you know how that community works. You have to know, the demographic. We go back and forth, when we're talking about the business as to how do we set prices for a certain area, is it really the best price for the demographic? And so there's so much that goes into it. And guess what? Things change.
Yes.
So be okay. Yeah.
It changed all the time. Let's talk about Chicken Lick and Barbecue. That's a family business owned by Victor Robinson Sr.
Right.
Yeah, business has been great in the last years, but we have our ups and downs,
Right.
And I noticed that things is constantly changing. That's business. Chicken Lick and Barbecue. If you ever riding through the state of North Carolina, whether it's Rockingham, Hamlet, Fayetteville, Maxton, make sure you stop when you see this chicken truck, because this is the best barbecue chicken in the state of North Carolina.
And look, we're not just saying this just to say it,
No.
But I mean, you're right. I think this Chicken Lick and Barbecue, again, was a dream of my father's. He's always been a hardworking man. He's a full-time pastor or bishop.
Right.
So he does a lot. And this was something that he wanted to do. He's on the tail end of his career. He's about to retire here soon. And so he wanted to do this. He has a passion for food. He has a passion for grilling. And my sister, being, the chief chef, she has a passion for cooking and developing, nice recipes. So we started to put that together. One is family owned, so we get an opportunity to spend a lot of time with each other.
And make sure y'all stop and support anytime you see this food truck.
Absolutely. And the information is going to be on the site. You can follow us. We post kind of where we're going to be located.
It's in the descriptions. We put all the information in the descriptions.
Right. And so what happened in our business, it's a little, I'm not going to say it's a little challenge. It can be challenging. Simply one, because we're all family.
Right.
Two, I think we all have great ideas and we all kind of think similar to one another.
Right.
So we're oftentimes in a position of receiving information. Right. I think, between me and you, we may be the two that kind of go back and forth a little more than everybody else.
But we learn from each other though.
Right. Because, he's our media guy. As you can see, man, he does great with the websites and everything like that. And he's a marketer as well. So he understands how to market, the market strategy, the target market, what items we should best sell and how we should sell them. But if you don't have such a large team, like it's myself, I have 6 other sisters, it's my brother-in-law, it's my father. So when we move in a pretty large group, we're able to get food out to customers quite rapidly. Right. But a part of our strategy is to always keep the food the same. Like we don't want to make a mistake with the food, and that takes a lot of focus.
Yes, it does.
And so we got a few of those things narrowed down. We've been doing it for almost 2 years.
Yes.
2 years.
It's been lovely.
So it's early. It's in the early stages, but at the same time, we're seeing great profit. And I think it's because we started with the why.
Right. And you know what? Not only that, a lot of family businesses, they tend to fall apart because, just because we family, everybody, people tend to to do what they want. But
Right.
it's good to see that this family has come together and made this happen. It's a lovely feeling.
Right. And again, this is just a start, because a part of the strategy is,
Right.
hey, what we do here
Right.
can potentially assist somebody else in developing their business as well.
Yes.
And then, we also look at things like, land and property, how our company invests in land and property.
Right.
We start strategizing and looking at things like that, because this is really just a stepping stone, although it's very profitable, but we look at it as a way to extend in other investment opportunities as well.
Right. Biz, that you said that, let's get into generational wealth. Most people may ask, what is generational wealth? Well, the term generational wealth refers to assets passed down from one generation of a family to another. Those assets can include stocks, bonds, and other investments,
Right.
as well as real estate and family businesses.
Right.
So you see how generational wealth play a part in this? You see how owning your own business plays a part in this?
Right. And again, we talk about the community that we're in, what we see opportunities for, a large majority of our community is African American. So we see that there's a little slowfulness when it comes to small business. However, we are seeing it pick up in our local areas. There's people are really starting to kind of understand small businesses, which kind of prompted us to kind of talk about this.
Yes.
So generational wealth kind of puts you in a more comfortable position to handle uncertainties, to not leave burden, stress, and strain on your loved ones. If you ever transition from this earth and had to, something, they needed something, especially if you were, kind of the nucleus or the glue to your family, and everybody kind of looked to you like, our father, he's kind of like that nucleus. So we kind of look to him to, to kind of put things in order, and we just take those things and we run with them, so generational wealth is something that can be produced not just from starting a small business. You talked about stocks and bonds, life estate, insurance, life insurance, and things like that. All those things will put you in a position to assist your family if you had to transition from this earth. On top of that, we talked about some of like these great benefits. One thing we want to point out, and this is something that we spend a lot of time with, was our competitors. Small businesses, you got to take that into consideration because you're small. You're small. We were small, but we were thinking big. Like, okay, this is how we're going to present ourselves. We presented ourselves as a mainstream restaurant, as a mainstream food truck. And the name is really what kind of makes it unique. But you have to include your strengths and weaknesses, not only of your business, but also your competitors. Yeah,
you have to, because it's out there. But the whole goal is to crush the competition. That's the whole goal. And by doing that, you got to look into certain things, do your research, have your ins and outs, and it's all about learning, as you go.
Right, because through that process of weaknesses, you're gonna discover.
Yes.
One, how to stay with the budget. Yeah. Try not to over budget.
Right.
It's gonna showcase you kind of what you're able to develop. What products are you really able to develop, and what products do you really want to sell? That's why
marketing is an important part. Come up with a marketing plan, a very good marketing plan.
Right.
That's going to help you do this.
Right. Because if say, for example, you're side by side a restaurant and kind of you're selling like the same fries and things like that. Just for example, you can develop a plan to not sell fries the same way, right? Like it can just be adding a different sauce or a seasoning or whatever the case may be. You have to strategize. You have to come up with that marketing strategy that's going to separate you from the competition, because that may potentially be a weaknesses. But if you're selling a different type of fry and you're profiting from it, then that becomes your strength. Right. So now you start looking at, okay, this is my strength. How can I expand this strength?
Right. And that's another reason why it's important to have a good supporting team on your side. So when you're not able to make certain decisions or you don't see it, the other person can put that out there, and we come together and collaborate and make these things happen.
Right. And then you may say, well, LeVar, Victor, hey, I don't have that big team like your family. It's a good thing all you guys are together. I don't have that type of team.
Yeah.
Well, this is what makes you a little more vulnerable. But you're going to have to reach out and extend your hand a little bit, shake some hands, get involved with some people that you may not
That's important
necessarily get involved with, which means you may have to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
You
notice that, some other races, they won't even have to like each other, but they can come together and make money together. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we have to learn to do as, colored folks.
Right. And one of the bigger points to it is that you don't want to limit your support. You don't want to limit your resources.
You don't.
However you do, it's just something that we build ourselves on and we kind of stand on. We do like to align ourselves with people that have the same values, same morals. And, they understand the belief. They understand what we're trying to do. It just makes the work relationship a lot easier.
A lot easier.
Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier.
In recent years, generational wealth has become a focal point in discussions about, racial wealth gaps and the increasing concentration of wealth in the U.S. Because it plays a substantial role in both, whether you know it or not. So, we had to close that gap.
Yeah,
we have to close that gap.
And again, as we mentioned, this is one of those ways like we could do that. It just takes a little time. It takes a little commitment.
Yeah.
Just think about the many times you sat on your couch in your bed, somewhere sitting and thinking and saying, man, I want to start my own business. I want to do that. And we talked you through some of the things that you could possibly do, knowing what business structure you want, LLC, you want a sole proprietorship, you want a corporation, a partnership. Just do a little research on all those business types and find out which one works for you. And then that way you're putting yourself in the best position.
Yeah. You heard everything he just said. Yeah, you have to do that research because it's kind of confusing, when you think about it. But deeply look into it because you don't want to make a lot of mistakes that will cause you to fall before you can even really get started.
Yeah, you don't want your mistakes to eat up your bank account,
right?
Because mistakes cost money in business.
It does.
You start making a lot of mistakes, you start overspending, over purchasing, you get outside of your budget.
Right.
It can be risky, and you start losing a lot of money. And what happens? Obviously, the entire purpose of the business is not only to gain generational wealth or whatever that plan is, but you want to profit from it. So if you're losing a lot of money from small mistakes that can be prevented simply through a little extra research, a little more time spent, if you just don't want to do that. There's going to be times where you may lose a little bit, but they should be necessary or calculated losses, not losses where, we just ignorantly just did a thing without the proper research, or just because we didn't want to work with a certain person because of a certain discrepancy, we lose out. So you got to be mature in business. As I say, you can't wear your emotions on your sleeves because there's going to be a lot of doors that close in your face.
And a lot of time, we fall short of these things because we don't have the knowledge of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to seek out and gain that knowledge of it, and collaborate with others, learn from experts, learn from the people that's already doing it. Don't be ashamed to ask,
Right.
Yeah. Learn from them because those are the ones, that's going to lead you in that direction.
And that's huge, getting involved with business, corporations or business alumni and things like that, where people are actually talking about the things of business is important because it'll keep you abreast of what's new, what's changing. It'll help you, define and restructure your business model if need be. But before you go to the Secretary of State and start filing paperwork, because that's one of the major steps as well. That's that last piece, I think, outside of filing taxes. But I think that's the last piece where you say, okay, I got my business plan. I have my executive summary. I know what my business is. I know my market. I know my product. I know what I'm selling. I know what I'm selling it at. I know my profits. I know my strengths and weaknesses. Then at that point you say, okay, I have everything in place. I know what business model I'm going to use, LLC, corporation, proprietorship, whichever one I'm going to use. Now I can file that paperwork with the state, and then that's what gets you That's what gets you your permit, man. That's what gets you everything that you need to be legitimate, to make money, to profit. After that, it's all up to you.
Okay, well, listen, I'm trying to pull some up on the screen, and it was something that the government passed a few weeks or a month ago, and it was talking about the $600 deduction for each transaction that you make. I thought that was important to talk about because a lot of small businesses don't know that. So I thought we'd throw it out there for y'all, for the ones that doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we talked about the budget, and then now at this point you're going to start making money, and you want to know how you're going to receive that money. So you definitely want to know what things are out there that could prevent you from making the most.
Well, here's an article on it. I'm going to just read a little bit of it.
Okay.
You can be able to see it. A new tax rule will impact millions of small businesses in 2022. You can thank one small change buried in the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Let's suppose you're a small business owner of a freelancer and you get paid from a digital payment service like PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, or even if you're doing something like DoorDash, anything like that, which we call the gig economy. For each $600 transaction, you will be taxed.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought that was important to put out there because I am a gig worker myself. And myself, I disagree with it. I think that it's,
Yeah, man, but I'm 100% hands up with you on that one. Right. Just simply because, small businesses have already been taking a hit. We're moving in a better direction now. We're getting a lot more recognition from local communities and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like you shouldn't be taxing. Those platforms are an easy way for people to purchase and buy. Yeah. A lot of people are comfortable with them. Yeah. But that's a discussion for another day.
But see, these are the things that you got to take in consideration. There's always changes being made.
Yeah.
Always changes being made, and you just, as a business owner, got to learn to adapt. Regardless whether you're not for it or this, that, and the third. But you have to adapt. That's part of business. So.
Right. And the bigger part to that is not only do we have to adapt, or as we adapt, right? Yeah. The key to it all is getting motivated,
right,
being inspired to do it.
Yeah.
To do it despite failure, despite fear, despite the unknown, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Get out there, risk it all, take calculated risk. If anything is gonna fail, don't count it as a failure, count it as an opportunity.
Right.
And pick your head up and just keep going at it, because you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. You're going to have some unsatisfied customers. You're going to get some satisfied customers, but get through the process of developing the plan, getting a good logo, getting a good name, getting a good product, being passionate about what you're selling and what you have, and getting all that information, kind of laid out, and getting to the Secretary of State and becoming a legitimate business so you can make money and so that you can develop that generational wealth for your family.
Yes, it's important. And that's the plan. That is the plan. Generational wealth. We got to do it. We got to close this gap. We got to get it together, folks.
Right. Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And we will. That's why we want to get this knowledge out to y'all. Take it in, swallow it, suck it up. Think about it hard.
Right.
Because a lot of us, we go to a job every day to make somebody else rich. And is at the end is nothing for us.
And see, we got to start thinking like that. We got to start thinking a little different about how we want our future to look. When we say there's nothing we can do, sure it is, man. If you put your brain power at a job for 20, 30, 40 years, you have the mind, you have the experience, you have the commitment to do your own business. It's just a matter of figuring out what it is that you want to do, because you can look throughout the history, people have started businesses with no business knowledge at all.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And they've become very successful. We can name a bunch of names that have taken that path. But at the end of the day, what really got them going was the commitment and saying, hey, I'm going to do it.
Right.
You see, so once we get past that point of fear, man, I think everything else becomes a lot easier for us.
So with all that said, look, if you're sitting on your couch not doing anything, the number one thing you could do right now is just get started. get started. If you have not heard the previous episodes of our podcast, you can download it wherever podcast is available. We want you to share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we want to thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in to Let's Drop Jewels.
Appreciate it, family. Y'all take care.
Y'all take it easy. Peace.